From rebel to recognition, from being arrested as the sticker lady in 2012, to fresh off becoming the art director for the National Day Parade in 2025, today's guest has lived a story nothing short of full circle. I'm very excited to have him today. His name is Sam Low, and he's not just an artist, but a symbol of resilience, transformation, and authenticity. Their work has covered Singapore's public spaces with boldness, humor, and heart. But beyond murals, the colors, the headlines, it's a profoundly human journey about identity, love, and what it means to find your place in a society that doesn't always understand you. And this is what this entire podcast is about. So Sam, welcome to the Human Algorithm Podcast. I want to start with something light because we're going to go into heavy things, right?
Yeah.
What's something about you that most people don't know and can't tell online?
Oh, okay. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. That's a very kind introduction. But yeah, what people don't really know, I used to be a cook.
You used to be a cook?
Yeah,
wow.
in the now defunct Crazy Horse at one point of time.
Yeah. Were you already painting before then and
No,
drawing?
man. No, this is pre-arrest. So it was I think 2006, 7, I think, quite a while back. Yeah, I really love cooking, you see. So I joined the kitchen and I realized that I should just not be in it.
How long were you in that job?
I think about a year.
A year.
Yeah. I mean, you can love cooking, but they say, you don't always have to join a kitchen.
So do you still cook now?
I do. I actually enjoy it very much.
What's your best dish?
Oh, I don't have a best dish. Whatever Shuan likes, I guess.
Shuan is his partner, so we'll talk about that later. So let's go back to where so many people first knew your name, right? And this is in 2012, when you were arrested for stickers and spray paint. And living in a country like Singapore, a lot of people saw that as rebellion. Looking back, do you see it more as a mischief, protest, or even your origin story as an artist?
I think as you see now, it probably became an origin story. But I think at a time, to put it very, how I used to put it, I was just wanting to make things that were meaningful for the spaces that they were created for. I think at a time as well, it looked like an act of rebellion, but I think most of it is really because it was existing in the public space without sanctions. But I think the core of it and the very essence of it I still stand by it, and continue to stand by it now, through my work as well, my current work as well, because it's always been tackling and talking about culture. So I think in that sense, I think it was more reactionary. It was more I wanted to say something. I just wanted to spread something. I didn't even think of myself as an artist back then as well. So it was just a form of expression.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to bring it to light. And I think from then on, it just snowballed.
Yeah.
It came to be what it is now.
Yeah, I remember it was in the news almost every day.
Yeah.
Especially the traffic lights, the stickers.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was really a lot. It was completely unexpected because even when I was doing all that stuff back then, right, I didn't even sign off per se. I didn't my logo was just the only signature, and there was no way to pronounce it. You don't even know what it was. So I thought that was my genius move to not be caught. But yeah, a lot of people sharing it and everything, and that's probably how it led to me
Yeah. And I think that from being arrested for that to today, and you're just fresh off NDP 2025, right, as the art director, and you design the art direction. I think that is an incredible leap, from that kind of people, society always say we put you on the margins, but now you are at the forefront because it's a national thing, it's a big thing, right? So how does it go from being punished from coloring outside the lines to being asked to paint the National Day Parade?
I think it's surreal, to say the least. I know it started off like I still feel like, it's quite a trip because, you go from vandalism, right?
Yeah.
To like now the art director for NDP. And I've always been, even I'm still absorbing and processing it myself. Like, what does it mean for me? But I think like, what I was struggling with at one point as well is like how people saw me, in the sense that, we're supposed to be like, this like mark of rebellion, but at the same time now you're doing this government like thing. And I think for me, like, I did get caught up in that identity as well. But then I stopped and reflect on my entire journey,
Yeah.
which has been like 13 over years. And I'm like, one thing that's always been consistent in how I expressed myself was culture, was about recognizing and identifying and like discovering what Singaporean culture was, which is consistent in all my work. And I feel like that work can exist both sanctioned and unsanctioned grounds. Yeah. And in that sense, it's not exactly about like who you work with, but more is about like that individual artist's journey, So for me, I feel like my integrity is intact in that sense. Like, I want to like, continue to like explore this topic, to like, discover what Singaporean culture is, to like, develop that visual language, to like, share more of our stories, even when I bring them abroad and stuff as well. So I guess like, that was like one of my biggest like things that I thought about. But like generally, I think that, I don't know, maybe when it comes to, I think art can transcend, like, art should transcend, like, all forms of like legislation in a way.
Was there
I don't know how
any
to say
part
it.
of you though that was still hurt or even upset about what happened 13 years ago and all that?
No, not at all. In fact, like I said before, right? In previous interviews and stuff, like, it's when I first started like doing like street art, like I already knew, and all of us who like, practice this, right? We already know, like, there are consequences, like if we get caught. So the whole point was not to get caught, but I got caught. So like, just sway, you know what I mean? But like when it happened, it was about taking full responsibility for what happened.
Yeah.
And that's how I like, like I approached it. Yeah. So I don't feel any resentment or anything like that. I know my younger self did feel a little bit of resentment, but not to the system, not to like the government or like whatnot, like a lot of people would think it would be. But more of like, I think how I was really like, I think I really had like quite a bit of PTSD from the whole experience.
Yeah.
That took many years to like get over. And I think it was from like that attention that I was not ready for in terms of like media coverage, like you mentioned, like it was almost every day. And it was, everyone had something to say.
Yeah.
And it really bothered me. Like it went down to like who I was seeing at that point in time to like come into my house and like, things like that. So
People came to your house.
yeah, like one of the media, like one of the reporters actually came to my doorstep.
Wow.
Tried to get a quote. My dad, like, told him to like go away. And then it became like a media headline the next day. So it was like super ridiculous. So I think like things like that really like, it really got to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took quite a while to like, kind of address that because everything was happening so quickly.
Yeah.
And I had to think about like how to settle the lawyers, how to like, pay off the fine and like, all these other things that were coming on top of the expectations of what a street artist should be from the public. Or like, all these things. So I had no time to think and reflect on or like think about how I felt, my emotions back then. I just had to do. So yeah, I just pushed on. It was quite difficult actually.
Yeah. Since that vandalism incident in 2012 to now, a lot has changed for you as well in terms of transitioning. And I think you have previously described your journey as a kind of happy accident. So, as a fellow trans person, I understand the challenges of, transitioning, right? But can you talk a little bit about from your experience, because you came out, I mean, you first identified as lesbian and then non-binary and then transmasculine. And you have also went through like top surgery. So can you talk a little bit about your coming out journey and what you identify with as now, and what did that surgery mean for you?
Yeah, I've been through like quite a few surgeries actually, come to think of it, and also like started hormone therapy. I think hormone therapy like maybe like 4 years ago. Top surgery was like 5 years ago, I think. And I think like that journey itself was like one that was a long time coming, I feel. Like, when I was younger, I've already thought that I felt like a boy. And I thought like liking girls was very normal as well. And then when I started like secondary school and I saw like there were like butchers in school, then I like, saw myself in them as well, because I also like to like dress up like a boy and everything like that. I think it was only later that I realized like not all butchers like wanted to transition. Because then I realized it, because I felt like I when I see like, a guy's body and like, like the chest and everything, now I'm like, I want that. And then I realized not everybody did. Not every, like, not every person that looked like me wanted that too. I only realized this like later on in my life. And but the thing is that back then, like, a lot of it was like, we didn't really know much about it. I didn't really know that much about it either. So, and that was after the whole sticker lady thing. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's really, really cool. I kind of want that. And then, but I never really went deeper into it. I think it was only like in recent years when social media, because and thanks to social media, that I started seeing more trans accounts coming up.
Yeah.
More trans people coming out, a lot of trans men, non-binary people. And I started learning about like, started going on and learning about like microdosing tea and like, top surgery and like, all this. I was just watching and learning so much about all these different like trans people's journeys. And then I realized like, oh my God, it started to feel more possible for me.
Yeah.
And so like, I was like, I want to take it a step at a time. And at a point in time, I was still identifying as lesbian. But then I realized like, with all this, I'm like, I think I could be trans. And so I decided to like, go for top surgery first, because like, that's the one thing I've never felt like it was mine.
Yeah.
So I decided to like, ask my trans guy friends, and then they recommended me this doctor. I went for it. And then after going for it, I realized I'm still not there yet. I thought I would be like, okay, now I was like identifying as non-binary, because I didn't really think much about gender at that point in time. I still don't, But like when it came to like the physical appearance and everything, right? And then after I did the top surgery, then I realized like, oh my God, like I am closer, but I feel like it's not enough. I don't feel like I'm 100% my body, but now that I have a taste of what it could be like, I want to go more into it. So at a point in time, I was like with my ex, and when we got together, I was like still lesbian. She was also identified as lesbian. And so like I broached the topic with her, and I said that I think I want to like medically transition. And yeah, she was very supportive. It was great. And then that's when I started that journey lah. But then also at the same time, everyone knew me as the sticker lady, And like I was just thinking like, whose opinion matters? My opinion matters. Like maybe my family, my partner, close friends. By the end of the day, it's still my body, and it's still my journey. And if I don't do this for myself now, when am I going to do this? Am I going to see it in my lifetime? And then I realized that I should do this. And then all the other things can wait, like, the social coming out and all that kind of stuff, that can wait.
Yeah, do it for yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then only when I started choosing myself, then things started to shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that, because when I started to love myself for who I am, accept my identity and being aware that being queer is not wrong, that healing started internally. Yeah, so it's always hard to make that first step. But I love what you say about doing it for yourself and nobody else. How did your parents take it?
Oh, initially, I think my parents took me being lesbian worse. No, but that's because like when I came out to them as lesbian, it was like in poly, I think a bit after poly. And when I came out as trans, like, that was like just maybe a couple of years ago. I think that by then they were like, okay, like, you're a grown ass person. You know what you want to do, what you want to do. My mom didn't take it 100% immediately. But my dad was like, really curious, and he was like asking all these questions about like, do you have to be on hormones like all your life, things like that. And it's been great because like, they've been really 100% supportive. And I realized that my mom, she's always seen me as like her daughter, and that's what she's always known. So when I came out as trans to her, right, and seeing that, we don't live together now. So she doesn't really see me as much. But we went on a trip together to Seoul a few years ago. And then we started spending more time together. And that was when she started seeing more as her son. So I think that really helped. And it helped her to get used to it as well. And then now, I'm her son.
How about your dad?
That's same,
Okay.
Yeah. You call on me like, hey boy,
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like you changed everything, but you didn't change your name. Like most people, when they transition, would change their name.
I changed my name from Samantha to Sam.
It's still the same.
Sam are
Dude,
different.
it's still the same.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone knows me as Sam already. Why, throw in one more thing, right? I don't really need to. I feel like adopting another name would feel a little bit like disorienting for me as well.
Yeah. But have you legally changed it to Sam or is okay?
Yeah, I have. I think only a few years ago after I started medically transitioning, then I changed my name.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to look like this and be called Samantha. It would be weird for me too. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did you being trans and non-binary play a part in being chosen for the NDP?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like there was nobody said no, nobody said like backlash or anything.
No, actually for NDP,
because I know Jin Feng is the creative director, right?
And usually the CD is the one who chooses their team.
Yeah.
So I met him at an event and then we hit it off and it was great. I've known him for years now and stuff like that. So
this is the most queer NDP ever.
I think so.
I really think so. You had Dick Lee coming like that.
Not just Dick Lee, the team as well. So it's really great.
You have a trans person as an art director, a queer guy as a creative director.
Yeah.
I think he's the most queer NDP ever.
Yeah, I can see that.
The conservatives will be hopping mad.
Well, I mean, we're pretty creative.
Yeah, right. So coming back a little bit to your art before we go back into your relationships, right? Do you feel stepping fully into your trans identity has changed how the way you create as a creative? And given you open up more doors for you. Because for me, once I started embracing my own trans identity, I started to become even more creative that I never thought I would be.
That's great.
So is that the same for you?
Well, for me, I don't really see much of a difference, to be honest. But I do know very much that I started going more into personal topics and subject matter after I came out as trans, after I medically transitioned. I think that's because it feels like a whole new self-discovery journey. Prior to this, right, it's always been I whatever I know of back then, right, and now, right, I still feel it and still embody that. But I think what's so beautiful about transitioning is that it gives you this whole you're right, it opens up new doors. But I think with those new doors opening, right, I'm also scared to step into it sometimes. Because
imposter syndrome?
No, not so much. It was more you have so many choices. You have so many things. It's overwhelming sometimes. And it feels great. It feels empowering. But at the same time, I'm rediscovering myself. So I want to the reason why I hesitate to step through doors because I want to rediscover myself first. And then I go through those doors and decide which doors to take, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I think that we have to catch up in a way. A lot of cis people who are born cis, they pretty much started that from the beginning of their lives. They already knew and they have this whole path. But for us, our path only started halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, we are like, oh my God, we could do this.
Yeah.
We could do that. And then we are learning about ourselves all over again without the shackles of the societal constructs that we grew up with, we didn't fit in. So I think this part, right, was very eye-opening for me. It was very empowering, scary. All these choices came up, which is great. And at the same time, because of that, it impacted my art in the sense of not the commissions or anything, but it impacted how I viewed my personal journey. I started talking more about my own emotions, putting more of my own emotions into my personal works, and also started to really go deeper. And I feel there's a shift there for sure because it's a whole new area of discovery.
Yeah. Will you call it being more vulnerable?
Yeah, I feel like I can be more vulnerable because I feel like I was pretty guarded before from a lot of insecurities as well. And it does a lot for your confidence. It does a lot for your self-confidence.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think
amazing.
like the first few years, definitely a whole new journey, of like learning again.
Would you say you're a better artist now compared to previously?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like I share more now, I guess. I feel more comfortable sharing about myself now. I think in the past, a lot of the work was always about social narrative, social commentary. I never really saw myself as a subject. It was always to see myself like an alien, to view everything from outside. And I think like now, I feel like this story that I have, or like, how I even like chose to transition, how my trajectory was, it was really a reaction to the system as well and to like, this whole societal construct. So I think like in that sense, like because of that, right, I have started to see myself as a potential subject. Like this is what I'm going through. This is what I am going through as a trans person. This is what I didn't have before.
Yeah.
This is why I can feel now, and I feel so much more alive. And this is why I can talk about. This is like, this is what we go through as queer people, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like I was talking more about that now after I transitioned, which is very interesting because prior to that, it was like touch and go in a way. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I did the pink dot graphic, like, pre-transition, but like, I think now like it makes me lean into all this a lot more. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it. But
No, I totally get it. I feel very emotional now because I totally get what you're saying. Because like I've never, like you mentioned, like it's never always about us. Like last time it was always like there's a wall blocking us and we never really told our story. And now you are telling your story, I'm telling my story as well. So the freedom of, embracing our identity has given us that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, which is crazy because last time before like discovering this or like stepping into your queerness, right? Or like, for me, like stepping into like, my transness, I think like prior to that, we didn't even know those walls existed. We just functioned within those walls. And we always thought like, no, like, it's fine, well, this is the way it is. But we never realized that we're actually living like less than 100%, probably 50 or 60, maybe less. And I think once like after my top surgery, then I realized, this is how it could be like. I feel like I'm getting closer somehow to a version of myself that I never really like, expected I'll see in this lifetime. Is this really possible?
Yeah.
Or like, there's this feeling of freedom that I never thought I would experience. Like, how come I'm feeling this now? With like all the clothes that I'm wearing, they seem to fit better. Like, is this what life could be like? And you only know once you get into that, once you are exposed in communities that have also like, been there and all that. So before that, I really had no idea.
Yeah.
I really thought this is my life really. So once I had a taste of that, now I started going more into it. Then I found myself.
Yeah, same. Like before I came out, I started volunteering for Pink Dot as a business leader and volunteering for Transgender SG as well. Because like you say, if you are not part of the community, it's very hard to relate and you think that your worldview is the only thing.
Yeah. Maybe like, the worldview is, the worldview is always expanding, right? But I think like maybe you can see it to other people, but sometimes you cannot apply to yourself, right? Because you don't think it's possible for you, right? So I think like that's what we've been known to do as well, I think, because we always create space for people.
Yeah.
You don't really create space for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about your ex and when you were lesbian as well, right? And now you have a new partner. Hi, Suen, if you're watching this. So how does it feel to love as a lesbian and as a trans man now? What's the difference? And how has love felt different in those two chapters of your life?
I don't think love really feels that differently for me. I think that trans or not, right? Like the dynamic you have with somebody else is always going to be different. And so is the love that comes along with that. I think the only difference in this case, right, was that when my ex and we got together, right, we both identified as lesbian. But somewhere along the way of the relationship, like, then I discovered that I was trans. And I think that was like a little bit of a challenge at one point, because like, what does that mean for us in the future if you identify as lesbian and I'm no longer lesbian?
Yeah.
So what's it gonna look like? But yeah, because the change was gradual, right? It was slow. It was okay. So I think at one point in time she was like thinking, am I pan? What does like that mean? And I think that it's interesting, like, because I feel like a lot of people are pan.
I am pan.
I think like a lot of people are like very. Actually, we're all like quite like gender neutral. And like liquid. So I don't know, but this is a whole other topic, right? But anyway, yeah. So I think that when after that relationship ended,
It ended because
not because of gender.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. It was like other reasons.
Okay.
But like after it ended, right, then it was like, I'm a trans guy. So what does dating look like? So it was really like, quite scary lah, because I didn't know, it's my first time, right? But the thing is that I realized and knew and wanted for myself, what I wanted for myself was that if I'm going to be loved, I want to be loved for the version that I am inside, the version that I want to present myself with. I think that was the thing that was hard for me to accept in my previous relationship, because if I'm trans and then you don't love me because I'm trans, then that's going to be hard. Yeah, so that was a struggle at a point in time. So that's why now in this new relationship, it feels like a clean slate. Like, I am finally the version of myself that I want to be. I want to be like the best version of myself for my partner, for the next partner.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when I met Shu, I was like, like even before really talking to her, I saw her and I had a crush on her already. So
I saw your story that day. You even had a projector, right?
I actually met her like a few months before the projector. So we both happened to be at the same event. We never said anything to each other, but I saw her then and I knew that I wanted to know her. But I knew that I wasn't ready yet because I just came out of a previous relationship. And like, it was really months already lah. And I was like working on myself. So I knew that I want to work on myself to be like the best version I can. So like, I'm deserving to know her in that sense lah. So I just want to be a good person. Like I want to be a better version of